Hello there, Sue here, and I am doing a video response for 2-bit leather. And so I'm gonna start smoking my pipe. That's what I'm gonna do. I have not been smoking because I had some surgery, but now that everything is doing so well, there's no reason not to. Earlier, I had loaded up Paul's pipe. It's one of Paul's. It's mate is what I call it, mate, because it is Franny's mate, and it is a tomato shape. And this is actually the first pipe that I picked up to smoke as I'm starting smoking again. And it is, stay together boys and girls, 965, which I had just opened a 2010 jar and popped it. So I crawled inside the jar for just a few minutes. It just felt so good. The thing about not smoking for a while, you think you forgot how good it was, but you didn't. You did not forget at all how good it was. It is exactly as good as you remember. I found tamper. Actually, is this Nathan? I think this is Nathan Campbell. One of the first ones I received of a temper from a friend, because I have a tamper asshole at my house who steals my tampers, and I don't know who he is or where he is and what he does with them, but they disappear. I find them sometimes, all in a group. That's why I know somebody's stealing them and putting them in the same place. So we wanted off focus, but that should be the name on all of my videos. Sue's off focus again on this. He wanted to show us our oldest pipes, and I do have actually a lot of very old ones. I couldn't tell you which one is the old ones. I imagine, and if you've seen my case, and I'll show my case some other time, the oldest is probably that 300-year-old Chinese pipe, but I'm not sure if that one's going to take the oldest in my collection or not, because I need to look and see what I have. Because I have, through over 50 years of smoking and collecting pipes and stuff, you do trade and build up and build down and make some good trades to get what you want. So after a while, you kind of forget, wait, did I keep that one? So I got to go look and see which. There's another pipe that I have that is a little clay pipe, and I think that is going to be the old one, but it's not usable. Okay, so anyway, so 2-bit leather wanted to know our oldest pipe, so I'll get back to the oldest pipe I have. But he wanted to know about the first pipe, and on this one I am going to, this is a Dunhill, of course. Very nice one. And the reason I'm going to light up this one is because, and in this one I'm going to use Scudo Navy Deluxe, because this is kind of like a dad pipe. The Navy the rolls, like these little bullseyes, because you can take 1, 1.5, and and this is so moist, so it's just wonderful. It kind of almost holds together. I do this little fold-up thing. Everybody does it different. This is just how I do it. I fold up one of the little coins and then tuck it in there. With the exception of Peter Stokeby Bullseye Flake. And truthfully, I pick out the bullseyes. But actually, if it's aged, the bullseyes kind of are not as, they're kind of weak. So it's not like hitting a big, okay, and so I'm putting in that second, I just used 1.5, and so I just packed that in there. And this pipe, when I was a kid, my dad used to monster-proof us. I know I've talked before about monster-proofing, but we grew up in a family of, I do this finger against the bowl as I rake it down, and this one does have a little bit of a cake in it, which is one of the reasons I chose to light it back up. And I just packed that a bit tighter than what I like. I hope I don't have to take it out and do it again. That's what my dad used to make me do. my dad used to smoke a pipe, and he would monster-proof this at night. You know, he'd blow big clouds of smoke, and us girls would all dance around in the smoke and get monster-proofed. And then when we would go to bed, you know, if we felt like we were going to get attacked by a monster, all we had to do was hug ourselves, and that smell from our clothes protected us. And it worked because we were never, ever, ever, ever attacked by any kind of monsters. Then, so that's why I'm smoking this one. This one would be like, because it's the pipe I saw the most as I was growing up to start with. And what I associate with my dad is a nice, good-sized billard. Now, this is not a great big billard. This is a small billard, but I can't smoke a big pipe like he did, so I don't have to even try, right? Everybody likes it different, and because it's a Dunhill and I don't want to mar my rims, I use basically a really nice skewer. And what's really good is if you wrap it with hemp string, which I just don't happen to have. Gentleman Jim sent out some waxed hemp string, and I think I used it all. Anyway, so this is Navy Deluxe. It's just a wonderful, like I say, it's a kind of a strong tobacco, but so my first experience with pipes would be what my dad smoked. When I was about 4 years old, I decided I wanted to smoke. So I took my bubble pipe and I went into his tobacco jars and I loaded up my bubble pipe with some tobacco and went around and carried it around, you know, spilled it out. So I went into another jar with my bubble pipe and got some more tobacco out. Well, my dad came home and here's a couple of his jars that had been contaminated by my bubble pipe. And he said, okay, if you're going to smoke a pipe, you know, you're going to do it right. He said, what we're going to do is we're going to get you a pipe and it'll be your pipe. So my dad actually went and bought me 2 pipes. And with this one, just because I feel like I'm in the mood for it, this is another little Dunhill. This one I call Betsy because she's a little country girl. I am going to light some late for supper. Now you notice I'm loaded up like 3 or 4 pipes because these are the pipes I'm going to smoke all day. I don't want to get an overload of, oh my, this is perfect too. This is some of Steve Book's stuff, which JB Beards is good enough to get for me. And now remember, this video is still about pipes. So my dad took and bought me my own pipe. And what we did was we went to Cat's drugstore. And he let me choose my medico. And I got a medico. And it was a little round medico. And then he gave me a pouch of tobacco. And so as I was growing up, when I was a little kid, you know, when my dad and his friends would be around and sitting around smoking their pipes and stuff, you know, I would go get my pipe and my little pouch of tobacco and I would load it up. I know, isn't this just too cute? It's real life. It was what really happened, but you gotta remember the times were, you know, we're talking about in the 50s, and times were different then. It was not a big deal for, you know, for an 11 and 12-year-old to be smoking tobacco out in the fields and the farms and stuff. It wasn't. And you can remember it's nicotine, so you know no farmer is going to tell his son, hey, no, don't get yourself a nicotine high and help me more on the farm. But oh, that's another story, not off focus. So we're back to it. So my dad also bought me, at the same time he bought me that medical pipe, he bought me a little apple Dunhill. A little small apple Dunhill. Now, there's been a fire since then a couple of times and all kinds of life. So, you know, you're talking about over 50, 60 years ago, and of course, that pipe no longer exists. But this one is what I've always considered to be a pretty close. I do think that this is a 1, and I think that the Dunhill apple that he had bought me was a 2, size 2. Of course, they didn't have it size like they do then. And so that was always up on the shelf, and I was always told that when I was old enough, I would be allowed to smoke the Dunhill. I would get my Dunhill. And I did get that at around 12, but not like you think. You know, it was like once in a while I would get to smoke it on a holiday when everybody else was, and you know, it was a. But my dad made me learn to pack his pipe, and so I learned how to pack his pipe. I haven't lit this yet. So, and this is the Late for Supper. It's actually, say, this is one of Steve Book's House of Calabash in Oregon City. And this one, there's a little rubber bit on that because I do like this pipe and I use it a lot. And because it's so small, I have a tendency to walk around with it in my mouth. So to keep down some of the chatter on my pipes, I do put bits on them. But for the most part, I don't really care if I get chatter on them or not because they're my pipes. And if it's got chatter on it, it means it's one I loved and used. Then... it was, what was your first blend? Okay, well, once again, you were talking about a long time ago, and there was a different kind of an atmosphere about this. And my dad, and because of my mom's family having tobacco farms, so my dad had friends that would blend tobacco all the time. And actually, you know, going back through, like, say, the years and stuff, you got to realize we were in tobacco houses and things. So, and they would get together, and they had this great big blending bowl. And they would blend it together, and the bowl was a big, like, stainless steel kind of thing, and as kids, me and my two sisters would slide on it in the snow sometimes. But anyway, so my first blend would not have been anything that I could say was a commercial blend. I think my first blend would have been, you know, just a combination of a lot of different tobaccos, because I keep thinking back in my dad's cellar, so to speak, there wasn't a lot of tins. There was a lot of big old mason jars that still had the porcelain tops. I mean, we are talking about like lead lining, porcelain topped mason jars. But it wasn't like just his. It was like a big set of shelves that had him down in one of our cellars, really cellared in the cellar. But it was a dry cellar. And, you know, they'd open up a jar and a bunch of guys would smoke down there or smoke somewhere, and somebody would say, hey, let's go open something, and they'd go down there and bring up a jar. So my first blends and stuff were just, you know, I'm sure mixed blends, although I was introduced to all the tins of tobacco quite young. And from the start, Dunhill 965 drew me in. And it has kept me, I've carried it through the years as it being the one I go to all the time. But don't think that I'm not aware of the changes that it has gone through. Luckily, the changes in the, and there's so many quality control things with tobaccos, but some of the changes that it's gone through, I've been right on board with, and then some of the years that it's gone through some changes, I've backed off of it. But the thing about 965 is, in the end, it is the same kitchen sink of tobaccos, and you know, you're not looking at a bunch of casings, you're not looking at any accelerants in it, and stuff like that. So in the end, the reason probably that my favorite blend is 965 is because through the years, even though it's changed, it's still been consistent in the flavors that I like. And if I didn't like it that year, I have to admit, you know, I'd buy, you know, a couple tins every year of each one to try them. If it was something that I didn't like that year, I've always been lucky enough that I've had a cellar of tins of 965 that I've liked. I think it's, I have to say there's like 2 or 3 years that I don't have any cellared for. And it's not because I didn't like it. It would be the opposite reason. And it would be because it was one that didn't come up to the quality that I thought it was going to be. All right, so I think I probably ought to do a short version of this and then tack it on to this one so that those that get tired of watching me can say, okay, fine, we watched it, and we can leave it off. I do tend to go on and on, so I think that was it, wasn't it? What was your oldest and your first pipe? Like say, my first pipe was really a medico that I actually never lit. That was the one thing about that pipe that Dad gave me to play with as a kid. And the reason I never really used it like a pipe was because, you know, if I had it in my pocket and I'd put it in, I was a foo-foo girl that had skirts on all the time, but I'd carry a pipe on me. If I had it in my pocket and there wasn't tobacco around, you know, I would fill it full of grass droppings or, you know, it didn't matter, you know. I don't think I ever put dirt into it. I did have to break it down and clean it out good because I had taken it to the beach and put sand in it. But, well, it wasn't really that I put sand in it. When we was on the beach and we were walking along, there was, and I was a kid. You gotta remember, I am talking about, you know, from 4 to 8 years old. There was a shell that had been broken apart. And so in the middle of that shell was that cone thing that looks like a spiral of smoke. And it fit just perfect in my pipe. So, you know, I was really proud of myself for finding this curl of smoke to come out of my pipe. I did have a good life when I was a kid. And like I say, it's just, thanks for letting me tell y'all. Happy, happy. Joy, joy. You know I'm watching you.